And just be warned that the following video is pretty graphic. It is unverified footage of the private jet that crashed, which had Wagner chief Yevgeny Prigozhin on board. Bloomberg's Kailey Leinz joins us with more from D.C. So, Kailey, it has been confirmed that Prigozhin was aboard that plane that crashed. Before, we only knew that he was on the passenger list. What is the White House's response now?
Well, Scarlett, I should say that while TASS, the Russian state media, is reporting that indeed it is confirmed that Prigozhin was on this plane. Of course, it had already been reported in Russian state media that he was on the passenger list, but they are saying that he was on board this aircraft, this jet that crashed, leaving no survivors among the 3 pilots or 7 passengers. So that is what we know, though Bloomberg has not independently verified this information. And of course, we should keep in mind this comes basically 2 months to the day from the time when Prigozhin was leading a revolt on Moscow, marching toward Moscow. Of course, that was stopped in a deal brokered with the Kremlin, but it still was one of the biggest affronts to the authority of Vladimir Putin during Putin's time as the leader of Russia. And so here in Washington today, people are saying that this should come as no surprise if confirmed. We actually heard from the president himself, who is currently on vacation in Lake Tahoe, but he spoke to reporters after being briefed on the plane crash by those close to him. And he said he does not know for a fact what happened, but he is not surprised. The exact quote, "I'm not surprised." And when he was asked if Putin was behind it, he said, "There's not much that happens in Russia that Putin is not behind, but I don't know enough to know the answer." So here in Washington, while this, of course, is pretty incredible news we are receiving today via Russian media, it doesn't seem that it is coming at too much of a shock, given that Prigozhin did really challenge Putin ultimately.
We should also say, though, there is also no immediate comment from the Kremlin. Kailey, if you walk us through what happens next, both between the White House's own response as well as the response we may see from Russia, what are you looking for?
Well, of course, we'll see if we get a greater detailed response from the White House or the administration in the coming days in terms of how this ultimately impacts foreign policy, especially in light of the ongoing conflict in Ukraine and the sanctions and the like that have been put on Russia by the Biden administration. But it also is a question of what ultimately this means for Vladimir Putin. I actually, on Bloomberg Radio earlier today, was speaking with Daniel Fried, a former U.S. ambassador to Poland, and he said in the near term, this may be something that strengthens Vladimir Putin, showcases his authority that theoretically, and again, we have no confirmation of this at this point, if Prigozhin were to have been taken out by the Kremlin. Again, those are unconfirmed reports at this point. All we know is that this jet did crash, according to state media, and that Prigozhin reportedly was confirmed to be on that. So it's going to be first a matter of verifying all of this information, confirming it, and then U.S. authorities will move from there.